This time I've got a battery here and a lamp from Andy T. So this is the sort of thing you would take mining. Well, I say mining, exploring mines and caves and things like that. Caving, not mining. He's not a miner. Maybe he is a miner, I don't know. How's this switch on now? It's got a nice little mechanical switch there, that's cool. So you can see it's not coming on, and if we move the wire, I'm wondering if it's flat. Is there a switch on there? I don't know. I hope it's not broke inside the light. Oh, there we go. Do you see that? The point is, I think the battery's okay. There's something wrong with this. I am wondering if it's internal to the light that's the problem. Seemingly not. I thought when I tested it last time, it was there we go, it's here. You just move this wire here like that. So the point where the wire is soldered onto the two pins here, it's disconnected. Now he sent me a new cable and various other things. I don't think we need to do that. I think we need to just cut this heat shrink here. Let's just switch that off. There's 3 switches on that, aren't there? I think that's off. Now it's on now. Look, what the heck? Maybe it's different brightness levels. It's still on. How on earth switch it off? All the way up? No, the different power levels. All the way around? Like that. There's a lot of switches on that. No, you can't. What is going on here? Well, which position does that not come on? You'd think it'd be that position, but no. We've exhausted all options here. That lamp is always on. There's no other switch on it, is there? Yeah, that's the brightest one, definitely. You think that would be off? Maybe it doesn't have an off position, I don't know. In any case, I'm going to start, I think, by just measure here. Let's just make sure there isn't a problem with that. And we can measure the voltage as well. I mean, you've got 2 cells there. I'm guessing it's like 7 volts-ish. Yeah, so you can see the meter there. Let's just carefully probe in there. Straight away we've got voltage 8.11. It's probably like 2 3.7 volt cells, isn't it? And yeah, just holding the probes in place, and hang on, let's just try and hold them in place and then just move the wire here. Yeah, that's alright, that's solid, that's stable. It's not that. So anyway, we know we can feed 8 volts into this tester. So without messing any more, so I think the next thing to do then really is literally just to cut into this here, the heat shrink sleeving, and it looks like it's got some silicone, and I would stick some silicone in something like this if I was making something like this. So I've got some black silicone, and we can stick some silicone inside the tubing before we shrink the tubing. But what I'm going to do is just come in and snip this heat shrink here, because well, that's going to be the first thing we need to do. What we could do with that last bit there is just try and yeah, be careful using a knife that's extended like that. Just carefully try and hold the wire flat and just have a little slice into the surface of it. There, not too deep. And then as we start to peel this back, it may sort of start to naturally come apart more at that point, if you see what I mean. It's getting quite difficult here because we're up to the flat edge. You see that there, the split? It's gone down the point, there you go, that I cut it, or sliced into it gently. So peel that off. That's interesting, that's not what I expected at all. It's clearly crimped in some way, isn't it? So I'll inspect this and I'll report back in a minute, but we're going to need to push those through there. Ballpoint pen is probably going to be the best thing. A ballpoint pen on those pins there. And when I say a ballpoint pen, I mean the take the thing out like this. This gap here might be a bit too small though. No, I think that's going to be right. It seems to snugly fit. Yeah, and then you've got to sort of wiggle here as you do that. It's a bit difficult with the two pins because you've got to kind of free them both up approximately at the same time. And I'm not sure that's quite narrow enough. Might need to go experiment, maybe stick a nozzle from a spray can or something in there, because that might do the job. That one's coming out. See that? So, right, I need to make sure I don't get these wrong their own way now. So, let's just put a green line along the top there. It wipes off with IPA. Cut with tape with scissors is the best thing rather than cutters. And just so I don't get these mixed up, I'm just going to stick this around there like that and tape it to itself like that, and then it's absolutely crystal clear to me where that goes. I should measure the, we'll do that in a sec when I get the second pin out. Should just measure the polarity, and I could have done that while it was, you know, we did it before, couldn't I? I could have said, oh, the angled part at the top, the point, is negative or positive or whatever. Anyway, let's just push that in and then try and pull that pin out. That one is not coming out. I'll report back in a sec. Yeah, so the point at the top here is positive. And obviously the blue wire there is the point. I'm not getting anywhere with this. It's like when I connected up a minute ago, the first time I made a connection here, it worked. No, it's not. And I honestly can't, for the life of me, understand where the issue is. What I do know is the bottom connection there, the ground, the hole is widened, like really badly. So there is a chance that it's not this at all, actually, and that it's just a widened connection there. It just needs crimping back in. And to see if that is the issue, let's just get some contact cleaner in here, because I'm not sure if it's this end. It's like, even though we can measure a voltage, putting the probes right in there is the point. And I'm not convinced that it is the wire. Hang on, that's the wrong way around. You saw it work then, and it's when it touched the end of the connection. This is what I don't get. It's only when it touches the end. It's really mysterious. Like, is it here? It's not here. And it's not here. And it doesn't seem to be anywhere. That is loose though, and that one's, yeah, that one's not quite as loose. The top one is, the positive is loose, but often just connecting it there and it will, just on the tip, it will spring to life. And the other thing, obviously, I've got the bench power supply here, so set to 8 volts. So I've limited it just to half an amp, but you kind of expect some, you know, something, some light. So again, the tip, which is the, you know, the pointed bit, is the blue there. So that's our positive. And if we connect that to the positive, I'll stick it further down here, and then the negative is here, and we get nothing. Don't even see any current draw. So that would suggest that it is the lamp end, because this is not even pulling any current. I know you can't see the bench PSU, but nothing. So I think I'm going to connect that like that, being careful not to short these out, and then I'm watching the bench PSU here. I'm just going to move these around a little bit, you know, until see something, maybe. I do wonder if there's an active component inside this that's faulty, like a capacitor or something. But then again, I'm not seeing any current draw, so you know what, that wouldn't make any sense. If I try and push the wire towards the thing here, it's not that. Try and push this one towards that. Right, so I've got it set to 8 volts. Just have a wiggle with these. Ah, there we go. It's the switch. It's got to be the switch, hasn't it? Because we couldn't get it off. Now we can get it off, and we can get it on. And when we've got these things on here, it's okay. I think there's nothing wrong with this, you know. I think it's the switch. I think it just needs some contact cleaner in the switch. I don't even think it's the wires. Let's connect it back to this again. So that's the top one, positive. That's the ground. You saw it come straight on then. Yeah, and I couldn't switch it off before. You did see that. So it would appear to be all about that. I don't think it is this at all. That's really annoying. Certainly because, well, I've cut the heat shrink off it, but we can put some more on it. It's solid now. It's solid. Right, so I've got a piece of heat shrink here. That's going to be good enough to shrink down and secure onto that. I want to get the same length as the heat shrink that was already there, pretty much. So I'm just going to cut about that much off the end. Try and get it a fairly straight line. That'll do. And then what we'll do is put this over these wires here. Yeah, pull that tape through as well, like that. So it's like right up there. And we can get these back into here. Because I'm damn sure these are alright. I don't think there's anything wrong with this cable. I don't know. I think before I heat shrink it and glue it and stuff, I'm going to test it. Well, let's just do that again. Let's just test it a bit more thoroughly. It's going to be one of these things where I get it all back together and then it stops working again. I can see it coming. So we've got the positive at the bottom. See, that's really loose there, and it's that side, the battery side. Oh, hang on, it's doing the same thing again, look. Where it flashed on, and it goes off. Now, it does that when it's off. That's the thing, that could throw you. That could really... This is what's been happening with this. Why? How's that work, though? Why does it flash that one time? It's like you plug it in, and you're like... It flashes. Yeah, it's not doing now. Let's just short these out. In case there's a cap internal to that. Put that on the negative, the positive. Negative. You saw it there, flash, watch. Tap to short. Positive. Watch, as soon as the negative makes a connection. Flash. That is really, really, really weird. Basically, that means when it's in this position down here in the off position, something is still charged in there. Something gets a charge and gives a flash. I mean, obviously there's going to be the brightness. I reckon maybe it's PWM type stuff going on here. You know, those bulbs might not be, they might be higher voltage than you expect. And if that is the case, when it's off, it's not really off. It's just pretending to be off. But you see, you can't get it to flash again. And all you can do is to go short, then connect them up, and you get a flash. Now, if you were connecting it up that way and expecting now it to work, well, you're going to confuse yourself, aren't you? Because it's not on. Let's just leave it on. There's nothing wrong with that wire. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm putting it down to contact cleaner needed in the switch, contact cleaner needed here, these cleaning up, and one of these here just needs tightening because, like I say, instead of having two holes that are like that, one of them's like that, if you see what I mean. It's just, you know, the two metal things inside that pushed away from each other, so it's gone quite wide. I can show you that on the microscope. So yeah, I think we're right putting the heat shrink there in advance and sticking the back in here. So I'm going to go under the microscope now anyway, because I need to spread the two wings, because when we push the pen refill over like this, it goes right to the bottom, then it pushes the wings in, so they're both a bit flattened on both of those. So I just need to just carefully widen those, and then we'll clean them up with a bit of deoxit as well, and get them back into there. Alright, so we're on the microscope here now. You can see what I mean. If you look at that one there, yeah, this is the one where I couldn't get this one out at all. It was the last one, you know, the last connection to disconnect. And I had to just press something very fine in there and just push that in. So I now need to do the opposite. We need to carefully try and lift that. There you go, that way. Hang on. Oh god, it's hard to hold. Where's it gone now? Oh, it's down here. Oh, I kind of did it there, yeah. It is... Yeah, they are kind of raised out a bit, but they need to be more than that. It's really hard with that massive light swinging around on the end of it. So I usually do this thing with a razor blade, actually. Just get a sharp knife down there. That's it, and just do a bit of that. It's probably not quite as straight as you might want that to be. So I'm just going to just squeeze there a little bit, that's it, and then just gently push back a tiny bit. You're only going to get away with bending these so many times. And let's do the same thing on the other side. I like the way that wire made an appearance just to stress me out. Like I got poor enough visibility already without that one sticking out. Yeah, they're pretty wide. I think that would be alright, because they'll get pushed in marginally when they go through the hole. So that's okay. So let's get a deoxit, not some deoxit, a deoxit, onto cotton bud here, down to the last little bit here. So, pertinent reminder, it's Christmas, so hopefully I'll get some Amazon vouchers from family and friends over Christmas, and I'll get myself some deoxit. What did you get for Christmas? I bought a tube of deoxit. That's usually what happens. Usually I get my Christmas and birthday vouchers from families and family members, and then I usually buy tools and components and consumables from Amazon, which is it's not the best thing. It's a waste of money really, because Amazon charge ridiculous prices for things like this generally. You'll get it cheaper from places like DigiKey and Mouser and RS, but well, beggars can't be choosers, so that's what I usually do. So this one needs its wings spreading look, because they're a wee bit squished, but it's had a nice polish with deoxit there. And you can see they're totally gold plated. Those look perfect. It's absolutely good as new, if you ask me. Apart from the bits were bending out here, and that's just a consequence of taking it to pieces. It's yeah, that one's sunk in right into the channel. Just levering it a little bit like that, and then slide that way. Yep, that one's well out. Let's try this one. Get onto that one a lot easier. There we go. So, without further ado, let's just get them back into here. We can have a look inside that, but yeah, there's a bit of corrosion at the end there. Can you see that? That's corrosion. Pushing that right in there. And right into, yeah, right into that one as well. And if we have a look in that now, that looks alright. There's a little bit of contaminant as we've cleaned that, gone right down into the hole there. Let's just blast it out with this. Like that. It's just contact cleaner, it evaporates anyway. And of course that green mark's going to come off there, so quick, let's get the connection with the marking on. It's got some fibres on the end of that there, just pull those off. And get that back. Hang on, which way is it now? It's through the narrow end, isn't it? And get that back into the top position there, I think. We don't need to do anything to the actual tips, they're alright, so it's going to be a bit tight getting that in. There we go. You heard it click. So I can't pull that out. And we'll do the same thing with the other one. Get that in there and push it in. Click. That's it. And then for good measure we can look down there and we can see everything's fine. The little wings are spread like that to the diameter of that inner circle, if you see what I mean. So, you know, they can't pull out, is the point. So all we need to do now is remove this piece of tape, get some black silicone here on this part of the cable, I think, and then slide up the heat shrink and shrink it. But before we do that, I'd like to just, well, test it and deal with this. So let me show you on the microscope again. I don't like this wire on this battery, but the battery isn't the issue. Carefully sort of bend it upwards so you can see in it. Right, just waiting for that to stabilise. Can you see this one down here? If you look at the size of the gap, look at the size of the gap there, it's huge. It's huge, that bottom one. It's been well spread out. This is the problem. It is the battery rather than the lamp. Let me just get a pin. Now I could try and replace the cable on the battery. I don't think we need to do that. I really don't. This is the sort of thing that is a general wear and tear thing that happens with every one of these types of connector. So the point is, you could put a brand new one on it and 3 months later you'll have the same issue again. Gonna get a pin down here. You see this thing can't get to the edge of it. It's so flattened out. And just try and press that way. Marginally. You can see we've pulled that side away from the edge a little bit. But I mean, technically these both need doing. That needs just like a little squeeze like that. Yeah, I think everyone was assuming it was at this end, because he's given me these two cables. One's got 2 pins there, and one's got a 2-pin thing to go there. I'm guessing those kind of join together in some fashion. But they're the male ones. Those aren't what we need anyway if we were to replace one. So you know what, I'm comfortable that I'm doing what was expected here. That was, well, to investigate this side, because we thought it was this. And it may have been, but I don't think the wire is actually damaged here. I think it is all about, was about that pin there. But I've now got it the same size as the other one. Yes, there's a tiny sliver of it missing, but the cable plugs in all the way to the bottom. And I've found, you know, testing this off camera, here, watch, just watch, plug it in, it should flash, I think. There you go, it flashes, and switch it on. And it works. It works, and it stays on. Yeah, it stays on is the point. And if we pull it out, you can see there, to pull it quite a long way, look, you get a connection right at the start here. Because they're quite long, so even though there's a section missing that's like that towards the top of the, you know, the thing, the connector, the pin goes right down to the bottom anyway, which is why it's staying on. And look, you just touch near the edge and it comes on. So, you know what, I think that'll do it. I think we just get some deoxit into here as well, or contact clean into the battery connections again. Here. Oh god, trying to. Something else I need to order between deoxit and WD-40. It's not normal WD-40, it's contact cleaner is what it is. Yeah, I may just try and shrink the gap a little bit more there, but it's quite sturdy metal. It's not like those are weak or on the last legs or anything like that. I know they're not. You can see it flash there because, well, it does when it's off. Obviously, it doesn't do the flash again. When the cap's charged up, you'd have to short the cables out, as I did. But it must use some power while it's actually off, which is a bit disconcerting. So when you're down a mine, Andy, or in a cave somewhere, and this isn't on for some reason, just remember it's still using a tiny bit of power, doing something, I don't know what. It's probably like transmitting your coordinates to the government or something. And everything you've been saying for the last 10 minutes, it's probably a microphone in there. It's a bugging device, I don't know. So, let's get this tape off here. Let's just try and snip this thing. Let's disconnect it from the battery so we don't have a fire. If I cut something, that I shouldn't cut. I'm just going to snip right up to the edge of the cable. Because then the tape will just tear off, more or less. I've got to hope now that this is going to shrink to the size we need here, which is, well, pretty small, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to squish a load of silicon, black silicon, all under here, and then we're going to get it over the top of the silicon there, and then shrink it. So it should be okay, it should be solid, because the silicone is going to seal the inside of that and going to make it nice and reliable for caving. Right, what I don't have is an easy way to apply this. So I'm going to do a budget UK special and just push the end of this with a screwdriver and get some of this going out, quite a large amount like that. And I'm just going to squish this here like that. Put the silicone out of the way so I don't get silicone everywhere. And if I can find it, where's it gone now? Yeah, use one of my spudging tools. Why? Because they're metal and they're easy to clean. And I'm just going to spudge this down into and around the area we want, like that. Just try and flip it over and stick some there, like that. Smush it down that way. Smush it sideways. You get the idea, just sort of shape a little silicone blob like that, and then carefully now, this is like it's like one of those circus things, you know, where you have the metal wire and you've got to try and a loop, and you've got to try and move it over the wire and not touch the edge or it goes meep, and you've got to get it all the way to the end, down like that. You can see it's sort of coming out here. It's going to squish out there in a minute as we shrink it, as long as I don't drop it. So let's bring the hot air over. Now the silicone won't be dry and it's going to smush out one way or the other. We can clean off any excess here. Just wait for the hot air to come back down to the 100 and something degrees. That should do. We'll start up here because I prefer it shrunk near the edge first. Hang on, you can see what I'm doing here. And squish its way backwards so that the excess would come out at the back of the thing here. I'm not sure this is going to shrink the right size, you know. Well, it is. It shrinks quite a lot, look, and we've not even gone around the circumference yet. So yeah, focus around the edge of the connector here first to minimise black goo coming out here. Does that make sense? Shove these wings down. Could do with just being pressed. I get cramp in my hands. Pressed towards it like that. And we can start to work our way backwards now. The reason it's not shrinking as well here isn't that it's not shrinking, it's actually the silicone. This area here is kind of bulged out because of the silicone on the inside. I can see that, there's like a mass of it there. And that's what we want. We want the silicone to waterproof it. You know, I'd imagine you get quite a lot of moisture when you're caving. So the final thing now is just going to take this extra bit of silicone we have here and I'm going to smush it like that. Hang on. Ugh, making a right bleeding mess here. Let's just clean it off the end of that. Oh, the lamp, really annoying me. And then just, I don't know, massage it a bit. There. Right, that'll do. So I'm just going to let that dry now. But that should be okay. That should be okay. I'll probably just test it before I go and let it dry, actually. Let's just get rid of all this mucky mess out of the way. But the nice thing with using a metal tool like this, I can just clean that with a bit of IPA and it's, you know, good as new. I mean, you might not even need to clean it. Look, it's pretty clean now. And let's just carefully give it a try. Still got a little bit of silicone loose on there, so be careful here and try and get this the right way around. I saw it flash then. Switch it on. And let's have a jog through the mine. We're bouncing around, it's going all over the place, bouncy, 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 and it stays on. And then someone decides to fiddle with the cable, and it's all good. So, you know what? I'm calling it fixed. Right, this is ready to go back to Andy. So this cable grip here, let me just turn the TV down a bit. Right, so this cable grip. Right, so I put a cable tie on there just to help that dry, and in part I did that because the silicone all inside here, when it had been drying for a bit, I don't know what I was doing, I was disconnecting it, and the whole thing slid right down here to where the cable tie was, because the silicone hadn't dried. Now, I just tested it a minute ago, I can't pull this sleeving off, but I thought what I'm going to do is slide the cable tie further up and tighten it and leave it there. So you can always cut that off really carefully if you don't want it on there. This does hold in place, but it may over time come off is the issue, because obviously it wasn't quite as tight there as it should be. So anyway, bottom line is I think that looks okay, looks pretty good. It's not really dissimilar to that side. And if we connect this up, I'll just try and keep that on so you can see it should flash, I think, as we plug it in. I get the right way up. There you go. Saw the flash. And switch it on. And as I say, jogging through the mines, jog, jog, jog. Not that you jog through mines, but anyway, you know, just like extreme example. I don't think it's an issue. I think that's fine. So that can go back to Andy. Hopefully you found that interesting. Do check out my main channel as well. There'll be links down below to that. I hope you have a good Christmas and a fantastic 2025. I will catch you in the next video.